Hi, George.
Hi, Ron. How you doing?
Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
So it's my understanding that you just came back from 2 days at Stanford University and that you had an amazing time up there with your colleagues and there were many learnings.
It was a tremendous opportunity, yes.
And it's my understanding that in your case, your biggest takeaway had something to do with consensus building. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, one of the workshops was offered by Sam Kainer, and it was on building consensus in a diverse and multi-stakeholder groups. And basically that really addressed about how to be an effective leader in presenting and holding effective meetings. And all of us are part of meetings all the time, especially in the nonprofit sector. We're part of and conduct meetings. And one thing that is extremely important is that in order to be effective in our work, we need to lead effective groups. And it's not something that we're naturally taught to do. And it's extremely important that we develop skills about how to reach our stakeholders in a very appropriate manner, in an appropriate setting. I mean, we could be like a flashlight where we just shine it on people and we just give the information to them, expecting them to know what we want. Or we can just be there and trying to absorb information from them. But the most effective type of group meetings are when we can interact and have people together in a style where they're dialoguing amongst themselves, when they're taking an item, an information bit, and they're trying to diverge and go from a variety of different ways. They go through an area which Sam Kainer called the groan zone, and they try to interact with one another. They try to come up with some kind of sense of some kind of consensus, and to come out with a real convergence to solve a problem. And many times that doesn't happen. And as an effective facilitator, as an effective leader, you guide and you work and you become a real outstanding listener, communicator, and draw people into that dialogue. And the bottom line is that you're working on building consensus. And in order to develop our nonprofits, we must focus on consensus. We must draw people in from their own understandings and make them partners with our organizations, with our nonprofits.
Sounds like a very important part of leadership, not just for nonprofits, but for the community itself. I mean, I think you would agree that this is something that the entire nation is struggling with. How can we get people in a room, and how can we have civil discourse about important issues? So that's what you're onto.
Exactly, and it's not something just for a large group. I mean, you can do that with staff. Mm-hmm. You can do that with interworkings of 2 or 3 nonprofits together with a collaborative focus, or it could be something that a large group of people are getting together for, whether you're holding a large conference and you're trying to reach a concise and consensus. But so it's not based upon just a large size, but it's small, medium, large. And the facilitator has to be really laser focused on knowing exactly what he or she would like to accomplish. And it's important to note here that the facilitator must communicate to the participants what his or her goal is. Because when participants get into that area, that gray area called, what Sam Kainer calls that groan zone again, you could have frustration and anxiety that's built. But if the participants know that that's a natural part of that meeting, of that experience, then they're expecting it and they'll grow through that, and they're brought together into a more unified and hopefully a consensus so that there is an end that is truly a consensus,
And
truly
the
a
people
goal.
that really buy into it.
Oh, most
so this
definitely,
is
yes.
fascinating, George. So here you are running a major musical organization, and we've just spent a few minutes talking about leadership. And that just reminds us all that nonprofits, no matter what kind of service they provide, are also leaders in the community, and that the executive directors are leaders of their staff and of their constituents, and that you play an important role in bringing the community together. Well, I want to just thank you for sharing, I know, probably one tiny bit of what was a very stimulating 2 days, but that's what our time allows, and hope you continue to share those learnings with the community going forward.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, George.
Appreciate that.
And now, in a moment, we'll be bringing on Michelle Arntz of Angels Foster Care to have her share her experience at Stanford University.